later in the week. But I think it's most important to talk about, all my favorite teams: the Knicks, St. John's, Mets, and the Jets. The Rangers will leave out just because they've been awful all year, one of the worst teams in the NHL. So we're not even going to waste our breath on that. And Notre Dame's nothing much going on with them except the fact that next year, if they finish in the top 12, they automatically get a bid to the CFP. So, stuff like that, but nothing really important to discuss in terms of that stuff right now. But I think we could start with the Knicks. But before I do that, I do want to say Sunday night, it hasn't been posted yet, but by the time this is posted, you guys will see it, very, very shortly after this episode is out. But there's a little preview if you guys watch this before you see the post on Instagram and TikTok. Is I'll be doing a live stream Sunday night, Knicks versus Lakers. So now with football, it's not over yet because Super Bowl is next week. But with Sundays pretty much getting opened up, I know NBC is now doing NBA on Sunday night, so it's a little throwback. Not for me because I've never seen it in my life, but for people older than me have seen, they used to do NBC basketball at night and stuff like that. I know they're doing it during the week, but now they're going to bring it on towards the weekend as well, which is going to be fun. So Sunday night we'll do Knicks versus Lakers starting at 7 o'clock. Game starts at 7, so as soon as 7 o'clock hits, we'll get on live. We'll discuss, whatever until the game starts, and then we'll break down the game. If you want to be a guest, reach out. We can get you on. Sure, I'm more than sure that we'll have the normal guys that we usually have on, but if anyone else wants to join, just go ahead and reach out to us. I'll post another reminder or two throughout the week just so everyone can see that before we continue that. But I think that's going to be another great thing. More Knicks live streams, I hope. A lot to talk about with the Knicks. So let's start with them. They are 9-11 in the last 20 games. So, playing a little under 500 basketball. But the concerning part is before they won their last two games, which was against the Nets, who they destroyed in a nice win on Saturday against the 76ers. That game was back and forth. They were able to hold on, a game they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on to a week prior, when they were losing a bunch of games. But 9-11 in their last 22-9 in their last 11 before they won those last two games, like I was just saying. So all since the NBA Cup. So they've played 20 games since the NBA Cup championship game, and they've been 9-11 since then. It's been an uphill battle. Guys in and out with injuries. Not a lot of rest days. They finally had, over that West Coast trip, which didn't really play too well. Brunson was out a little bit. They just did not have things going well for them. But that was like their first 2-day break in the longest time. So, a lot that went on there, but they're able to figure it out. Hopefully, they've been able to figure out. They had a players-only meeting after losing last Monday to the Mavericks. So we got to hope that can continue and go in the right direction after winning the last two. Got the Kings, Raptors, and I believe the Trailblazers coming up before they have this game Sunday night as a live stream. So hopefully we can have a 5-game winning streak and we can kind of forget about all the things that we've been talking about leading up to this, because I knew that they were struggling, and I was like, I don't know if this is the right time to have this live stream, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it Sunday. Hopefully everything is going right. But yeah, 9-11 in their last 22-9 before the winning the last two games. Have had a much easier, lighter travel schedule and off days. Wednesday, they played the Nets. Then they had off Thursday and Friday. So off 2 days like that is critical. Then they played Saturday against the 76ers, which is, not far at all. Didn't even have to get on a plane, obviously, for that game, bus or train, whatever they did to get to Philly. And then they have another home game tomorrow night against the Kings. So that's not really, you're not doing anything. You're kind of relaxing. Another 2 days off there. So a lot of days off now mixed in. And then they have to go to Toronto on Wednesday, which is, they're a very good team. They just beat the Thunder the other night. They're right there with the Knicks in terms of standings. They're ahead of them, which we'll get to in terms of seeding, which we'll also talk about tomorrow night with Biggie when we always do, our standings updates and stuff like that. But tomorrow night, another game they should win. They already lost to the Kings. You cannot lose to them twice. They are not a good team. Got to win that one. Got to go into Toronto with a 3-game winning streak. And I think besides the fact they won the last two games, I still think there's some issues in the locker room. I don't know what it is. It just seems like they've had some issues going down there, some trouble. I don't know if it's the players not getting along or the players not responding well to Mike Brown. I don't know what the entire situation is with that, but there's something definitely not 100% everyone going in the right direction, or at least pulling in the right direction. Karl Anthony Towns has been someone that seems like he's been frustrated throughout the entire year, which to me, I'm one of the guys that always goes against him, and I will stand by that. You should not be complaining when you're a second option on a great team. Like, you should not be complaining about that at all. And he's still, finding ways to complain about it. Very, very extremely soft on the defensive end of the court, and even on offense. Like, when he's driving to the hoop, if he gets touched, he's falling on the floor, he's doing something, crazy. So I don't really quite understand why, that's the case. But defensively, he needs to be better. And that's killing them. They're letting up a ton of points against everybody. Embiid had his way. Towns fouled out in like 16 minutes of total game time, which is, that's terrible. The fact that he played all those, the fact that he only played those, a little bit amount of minutes, and he fouled out in 16 minutes. He literally played not even a quarter and a half. He played a little over just one quarter of game action, which is not good. And leading to the next point, I kind of hope that he gets traded. He's not under extension, under contract, or he didn't get an extension, I should say. So that's a good thing that they don't have to worry about, because, the longer the contract is, very, very hard to, move guys in and out, which they don't have to worry about that now. So they don't have to worry about him. He can be traded because he doesn't really have anything beyond this year or the year after, something like that. And honestly, he probably wouldn't even care at this point if he gets traded. I think that would be, helping both teams. Kind of saw when he was on the bench against the 76ers, they looked a lot better without him. And another guy as well who's kind of dodged taking the heat this year, just because he still has, fans on his side for what he did against the Celtics in the postseason. He got a nice contract extension, so it's very tough to move him in the first place. And the fact that Towns is taking all the attention of not playing well, I think that with that, then Bridges is, kind of skating along, not really having to face the pressure, but he's not playing well either. He started out the year pretty good, but after that, he has not been consistent. He's just missing tons of shots again. Kind of looks like what he did basically a lot of last year. And Mike Brown wasn't messing around, against the Sixers. I keep alluding to that game because that looked like the formula, they may need to go and win a lot of games coming down the stretch when they have to play later in the year into the postseason. If you're not getting it done, we have a good team. Landry Shamet finally back from injury. He's been very, very good for this team before and now after injury. Seems like he's getting back into a really good, rhythm. Bridges isn't going to get it done. Shamet's going to go in there for him. The defense doesn't really take that much of a drop off. And if he's going to make more shots than Bridges is, easy decision. I mean, I don't know why that would be a difficult decision. If, I know, this guy's getting paid much more than he is, but if you're outperforming someone, you're outperforming someone. You kind of got to eat it and you got to move along, which it is what it is. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Shamet is kind of playing really well right now, which is nice. Deuce McBride has been really good off the bench this year. Mitchell Robinson as well, but they definitely don't have any trust in anyone else off that bench. So I know we talked about all the depth they had in the beginning of the year. Tyler Kolek seems like he's came back down to earth a little bit. He's come back down to earth, I should say. He hasn't really gotten any playing time recently. Even if he does play, it's very, very little in terms of minutes. And then Clarkson fell totally out of the rotation over the last week or so. That was one adjustment Mike Brown made. Not sure I completely agree with that, but, when you won 2 games in a row without him in the rotation, I don't really see what the issue is there. But, he could be a guy. There's no reason to keep him on the team if he's not going to play. You trade him. You trade Yabusele. Yabusele was a really bad move. Doesn't even look that interested when he is playing. I know there was a little bit of a weird interaction when Brunson came out of the game. He always goes down the line and, gives everyone a high five or whatever the case may be. And Yabusele was pretending like he didn't see it. And then Brunson kind of tapped him and he goes, "Oh, my bad." And then, he did it. We all know we've had teammates like that before who doesn't particularly like each other, and he kind of making it known. And we've seen that guys that pretend he's not right there when he is right there. And oh, my bad when someone brings your attention to it. So, it's not something that surprises me, but Yabusele doesn't seem like he's a good locker room guy. Could be a part of the, the rotten egg that's going on in that team. I still can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but I think it's a culmination of things. But he could be a part of it. There's a few other guys that keep in mind that we got to watch out for as well. But going back to that point is the fact that they don't have a deep bench, based off of who Mike Brown actually trusts or not. So I think that a trade is coming. I don't know if the Giannis one is. I think it should. I think they should just go right now. Why waste another postseason run that you probably won't win the finals when you can just go get them now? I know they keep saying wait to the summer. Just do it now. It doesn't matter. You're probably going to have to give up more in the summer because you're going to be more desperate when you don't win the finals. If you do it now, mid-season trade, you can figure it out. It's probably going to have to be a 3-team trade anyway. Get rid of Cat, get rid of Bridges, get rid of, if you have to, get Kolek, He could be a nice piece. You have some draft picks. Clarkson, I'm sure, would be a nice fit if that third team is in contention for playoff positioning or seeding, whatever the case may be. Yabusele looks like he just needs a change of scenery. So there's some guys you can get rid of. There's some guys you can get back as well. Doesn't only have to be Giannis. It could be some bench pieces, to kind of help the case a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And then the last thing, they're sitting at the number 4 seed, only a game from the 2 seed. So you got the Pistons at number 1. Doesn't seem like they're going to really fall at all. The Knicks are like 7 games or so from them. Then they got the Celtics and the Raptors, 2 and 3, and then the Knicks. The Knicks are half a game from the Raptors and a game from the Celtics. So they can very easily get to them, just have not played good basketball, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to fall. And you can't afford to lose more games because the rest of the East is very, very close. So the Knicks can go on a little winning streak here. Trade deadline's coming up soon. Hopefully they can swing a nice trade wherever they can get that can improve this team, and they can just take off, get to that two seed, and not let it up after that. Which, because I don't think they're going to get to the 1 seed unless the Pistons, go on a losing streak. Which I'm not concerned about. I think if we play the Pistons in a playoff atmosphere, playoff series, I think the Knicks would be able to beat them, even if it was 2 seed or the 1 seed, whatever the case is with that as well. Then let's go to St. John's. So we'll stay with basketball. Then we'll slide over to baseball and football to round it out. St. John's is second place in the Big East. So I know I said that I wasn't really going to talk about them that much because they weren't playing well, especially in the beginning of the year. They weren't, but they've turned it on. 8-1 right now gives you second place because UConn's undefeated at 9-0. So you look at a lot of conferences in college basketball this year. We and Biggie haven't talked too much about that, but we will start doing that just because football is going to die down and all that. College football is nothing really to talk about over the coming weeks. But usually 8-1 is going to put you in first place in a lot of conferences. But UConn has just been incredible, number 3 team in the country. That's St. John's competition. St. John's 8-1, like I just said. They got a 2-game lead over third place, so they're sitting pretty right now. Have won 6 in a row. They lost to Providence a few weeks back, and then after that, they've ripped off 6 wins in a row. Their last 2 wins, they were trailing by 15-plus points in both games into the second half, and they came back and won those. So very, very gritty effort. And I wouldn't even pinpoint 1 or 2 particular guys that are doing it for this team right now. I think it's just a collective effort. Everyone, whoever gets in this game, no matter what it is. Some guys, like Ian Jackson, I know Patino was saying when they played Seton Hall, there was a low-scoring game. That just wasn't his type of game. He wasn't going to get a ton of minutes. Yeah, he played in the first half. He started the game, just not his type of game in the second half. So, they put him on the bench, and Darling took over, and he played well. And then the opposite, Ian Jackson had a terrific first half, good game, and then he played more minutes than he did in the previous game. That's the good thing about a talented, loaded roster. That you're able to, this is not his type of matchup. We have a guy that can actually play in this matchup, and we don't have to force it. If this guy's not a good defender, you put him on the bench, and if a guy is a good defender, you put him in the game. It's not really, rocket science when you have a good team, and Patino has finally been able to figure out his roster. And that's a good thing because right now 15-5, 8-1 in the Big East. They're right now in the rankings at number 24. I just checked that before I came on here to talk about it. 24 finally back in the rankings. So when they lost like 3 games in a row earlier in the year, they were out of the rankings, or Kentucky maybe it was. They lost something and they were out of the rankings. And now they're back in, which is good. So hopefully they don't even fall out. They just keep going now, which is huge. Got to just keep going no matter what. And I'm sure they're going to win a ton more games. If up to me, I would probably say they lose 2 or 3 more the rest of the year. I don't even know if they might win basically everything. I don't think they'll sweep UConn. They'll lose one of those, and they'll probably drop 1 or 2 more, stinkers along the way, which we'll see. But I think that's what the case may be, just because it's very hard to win, every single game. But halfway through Big East play, 8-1 is pretty damn good with some winnable games coming up this week. I think there's 2 games they should win, Butler and DePaul, so who they're in like the middle of the pack of the Big East. And then UConn is next week. So that's a big, that's a big game that I'm pretty sure it's at the Garden. I haven't checked that exactly, but that'll be a big game. So you better be able to get into that 10-1 because UConn will probably be 10 or 11-0. I don't know how many games they have this week, but it should be a heavyweight matchup and see where you stack up. You may not win the game, but you may come out of that game being like, yeah, you know what? We actually played pretty well. I feel better about where we were perhaps maybe a few weeks ago when we were struggling really, really bad. But they're trending in the right direction, getting great play from everybody right now. And Patino, 900 win. Congrats on that. I forgot to mention that as the first thing that I should have done. But he has 900 career wins in college, which is really, really good. I mean, very, very impressive. Let's go to the Mets. I've talked about the Mets, across shows, videos, whatever you can think of, but they've acquired Bo Bichette, Luis Robert Jr., and Freddie Peralta over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. So they've been doing things. Finally, able to make some moves to a lesser degree, just because he's not as good as he used to be. But Craig Kimbrell has signed with the Mets on a minor league deal, but he probably will make the team. Seems like they have one or two bullpen spots that are up for grabs. So if he has a good, not even a great spring training, a good spring training, I think he'll make the roster. He was on, I forget, I think the Astros last year, or maybe another team. He had like under 3 ERA and like 13 appearances. So I mean, not the worst thing. They got Luis Garcia as well, another bullpen guy, and Tobias Myers came in that trade with Peralta. So that could be 3 guys that I just mentioned that they didn't have last week that should be on this team. I don't know how they feel about Brazoban this year. I wouldn't count on him because he's not that great. I'm not really sure what other spots are open right now, but there's probably 2 or 3 spots open, and these guys are going to compete for it. I expect, obviously, Myers to be a lock for the team just because he can start and relieve, and he's pretty good at it. Garcia was really good last year, and he throws pretty hard. Kimbrel, like I said, I think he will be on the team at least to begin the year. Even if because I know Minter's a lefty, but still, he's coming back from injury. He may not be on the team ready to go opening day, so that can even open up another spot. So I think Kimbrel has a good chance at making this team. And I still think with the roster, you can still improve a few different ways if you want to. I think another bat in the lineup wouldn't be the worst thing. A DH or another DH slash outfielder, anything, literally any bat type of bat. Don't think that would be the worst thing if they decide to go that way. And why not add another starting pitcher? I feel if you have the ability to do that, if you can get a 2 or a 3, go out there and get it. If there's a guy that you think is better than McLean, perfect. You put him in as your number 2. If he's just as good as McLean, okay, you put him as your number 3, or maybe a little worse than him, you put him as your number 3, and then you have slide Peterson down to number 4, and a Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea 5 and 6 type of thing. Because I'm not counting on Senga. I don't think he's going to be that great. Maybe they'll trade him because I know they were trying to do that. I don't even know if he wants to be here anymore. We don't know what Manaea we're going to get. And listen, if you could stack up the starting rotation, you go to Clay Holmes, you'd be like, yeah, you were a good starter for us last year, but I think your best role is in the bullpen. And that makes that bullpen even a whole lot better if you can put Clay Holmes, in the back of that bullpen as well, which I don't think he would have a problem with. You have Luke Weaver, Clay Holmes, and it feels like the Yankees, yeah, but it is the Mets now. Luke Weaver, Clay Holmes, Devin Williams. It wouldn't be bad at the end of the game there. So you gotta evaluate those things. But I don't know what they're gonna do. They may be done. They may just do lesser moves like they've been doing after these big moves. But we'll see. We weren't expecting a Bo Bichette and Luis Robert Jr. on the Mets. I say that we were not expecting that to come, but it did. So that's big. And let's go to the Jets. So the Jets are the last thing here. I don't know what they're doing. I'm very, very confused. I'll talk about this more tomorrow night because we may have some more clarity on who they're going to go with at DC. Hopefully we do by tomorrow night by the time we do that show. But for now, not sure exactly what they're doing because Glenn has fired numerous assistants. He's interviewed a lot of defensive coordinators that have no experience when he said he wanted to get one that did have experience and kind of believed in what he did in terms of defense because Steve Wilkes, yeah, he was a veteran type of DC, but he didn't have the same, scheme and philosophy that Glenn had, which that makes no sense. I think he just hired him just for the experience, and that didn't work. So now Glenn wants experience again because he wants to be able to let this guy call the plays on his own, and he knows he won't have to worry about it, but also believe in the same system that he does. And I think Mick Martindale is a guy that keeps coming up because he has the experience. He's done it before, and believes in that aggressiveness that Glenn believes in. So I think he's a leader in the clubhouse right now. I know they keep mentioning Jim Leonard. Jim Leonard, if he wants to be a DC, there's not really many other options open at this point. So maybe he'll come to the Jets. We'll see. I don't know because I know there was a few names that decided to decline, coming to the Jets or interviewing with the Jets. So I don't know if he was one of them. We'll see. Now that they're out of the playoffs, his name is open free to do whatever he wants. So that would be nice. I think he's more intriguing just because he's done very well in college. He's rose up the ranks in the NFL. So it seems like he has more potential. But with Mick Martindale, you know what you're going to get. So if you're looking for that way, you know exactly what you're going to get from him. And with Leonard, you see the potential there. He's a very good player, has a connection to Glenn and the Jets. Of course, he played for the Jets and knows Glenn obviously through that. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, very, very confusing with that. And then on offense, I know I mentioned they fired numerous assistants. Those were mostly on the offense recently, but they considering taking the play calling away from Tanner Engstrom, but keeping him on the staff. I don't know why they would do that. If you're not going to keep If you're not going to let him call the plays at this point, you might as well just cut bait with him. There's no reason to even keep him there. That just creates, I think, issues more than anything. And Frank Reich is a name that just keeps coming up, who hasn't really had much success in the NFL in the past 5 or 6 years at this point. Last two jobs he's had in the NFL, he was fired midseason from both teams back to back years. Then you had a rough year at Stanford this year, so he hasn't had much success recently. I know that was as a head coach, that's a little different, but as offensive coordinator, he hasn't done that in a while. So there's a lot of question marks with that. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode 92. The Knicks, obviously, like I said, Knicks, St. John's, Mets, and Jets, very good. Very, very good for them. And then the Jets, not so much. Not really sure what the hell is going on with them. But episode 93 will be tomorrow night with Biggie. We'll be live at 7:30, the usual. Come in the comments. Talk to us, whatever you guys want to do. Then fast forward to Sunday. We'll be doing a live stream Sunday night. Knicks versus Lakers at 7 o'clock, NBC primetime Sunday night basketball. Yeah, not Sunday night football anymore, Sunday night basketball. So that'll be fun as well. But I want to thank everyone once again for supporting us in Instagram and TikTok. A Twitter page is coming as well. We're going to launch that, Twitter, X, whatever. We're going to do more. Guys, go and follow that. More of like polls and stuff like that to get more interaction, from the fans. So should be fun. And I want to thank you guys once again for watching episode 92. See you guys.